Survival pace is a concept that is exclusively reserved for kettlebells. Its application might surprise you, and in this video, I'm going to explain to you how it works. But before we get started, I have a gift for you: 30 days filled with kettlebell workouts for free. Check the first link in the description. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe hier. In order for you to understand what survival pace really means, I'm going to explain two things. First, I'm going to show you the clean and press done with the dumbbell and with the kettlebell. Number two, I'm going to show you what a rack position means, or a so-called rest position. Now, if I do a rack position with the kettlebell, right here, the elbow makes contact with the iliac crest of my hip, and that's why we also call it a rest position, because now I'm able to rest. There's a second rest position as well. If I have the kettlebell overhead and I have a proper alignment of my arm, I'm also able to rest right here. This is what makes kettlebell training biomechanically efficient. Because if I grab a kettlebell like this and I do a proper hand insertion, where I insert my wrist and part of my forearm inside the kettlebell window, I don't have to grab the kettlebell, but I can attach the weight to my frame. Biomechanical efficiency also means that the weakest link in the chain, my forearm muscles, don't give out during kettlebell training. This means that I can train for an indefinite amount of time. And this is a crucial part of the so-called survival pace. So here is a clean and press with two dumbbells. Cleaning the weight up, elbow close to the body, pressing the weight overhead, racking it back down, and then backswing. As an important side note, this is one of the best exercises that you can do with dumbbells or kettlebells per se. A clean and press with a kettlebell looks like this. Now, since we covered the rack position, or also called rest position, on the hip level as well as overhead, and we also talked about biomechanical efficiency of the kettlebell, this means that I can now continuously train with the kettlebell. With the dumbbell, I can not. Now, since I'm adapted to kettlebell training, I can also use a rack position where I bring my elbows close to my body and use my stomach or my hips as a platform as well with two dumbbells. But this doesn't mean that even if I keep working with dumbbells like this, that my forearm doesn't give out, because I always have to grab the weight. And if I have to grab a weight, this means my whole system, my whole body depends upon the weakest link in the chain. So this is the concept of a so-called survival pace. I can survive throughout a whole workout without having to put the tool down to the floor. Because as I clean the weight up, the elbow now rests on my hip. Now, many people misunderstand this. They think I'm hyperextending my back. I'm not. My back is in a slightly kyphotic position and my legs are locked. This gives the illusion that I'm hyperextending the back, but I'm not. I'm just resting the weight on my strongest muscles and my strongest frame, or strongest part of my frame, which is my hip. Now, if I'm able to relax in that position, I can breathe. Take my time. And because the weight is attached to my frame, this means that now my bones get a good workout too. Now, if I'm ready to bring the weight up, boom. Now my whole upper body's open up. So now the weight rests on my joints. We call this stacked on all joints. You can see that the kettlebell is laterally pulling away from me, so the weight is distributed alongside all these bony structures of my joints. If I bring it back down again, I have another rest position or rack position where I can rest. And even if I put it down now into the backswing, I can also rest again or use it as active recovery. These are traits that are unique to kettlebells. You cannot do this with a dumbbell, and you cannot do this with a barbell. This unique characteristic is the survival pace. You can set the time from 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. We even did a 60 minutes workout without having the kettlebell touch the floor again. And this means that you can get more from your workout. You can get more done. You can combine endurance, strength, mobility, flexibility, and equipment that is soft to your joints. You don't need a lot of space, and you can get so much done in so little time. Of course, this doesn't mean that you have to do a 60-minute marathon. It just means that if you train with the kettlebell for 5 minutes without putting it down, you get more time under tension. And why do I use the term survival? It's because if I have a heavy weight, I get tired. So even if I'm racking it, I start breathing heavily and I have to catch my breath. Now, all of my body's systems are signaling my brain that I'm getting tired. However, my systems are always the first to yell, and my muscles are still able to cope with it. So if that weight is heavy, I'm breathing heavily, but I'm also able to calm my mind. And I call it the assassin's face or the poker's face, which the Soviets used in their research. When you train and you have a calm expression on your face, this means it is a display of skill. So as I keep working, I don't get hyperventilating or get into panic mode. I'm telling my body, listen, it's all fine. I just have a couple of more minutes to go. So you know that you can trust on your body's capabilities to work with the bell, because you make the kettlebell your friend and not your enemy. You melt with it. This means you know you can push through the workout. A final point that's also adjacent to the idea of a survival pace is that you can go faster. And this is fascinating. It's just like running. You know exactly where your reserves are. You know how fast you can go. For example, with a snatch, you say, I do 20 reps per minute with one side. So this is the pace where you're able to survive. Now, as soon as you upgrade that pace, you are tapping into different energy systems. This means your pace is increasing. So maybe you have to dial it back a little bit in order to push through the workout. So in essence, what I'm saying is the kettlebell is loaded mobility, loaded running, loaded endurance, loaded power production, loaded strength, everything all combined into one powerful tool. That's why I believe it's worth your investment, because many people don't have a lot of time to work out. And when you make time to work out, you want to make sure that you get a lot of bang for your buck. And the kettlebell gives you a lot of bang for your buck, because as you have now learned with this idea of survival pace, you can push through a workout or through a given set or amount of time without putting the kettlebell down to the floor, which means you are increasing your time under tension, which means at the end of the day, you are probably getting more results. So here's the next thing that you have to do. You have to like the video, consider subscribing, and share it with the friends, and then go watch this video. This is a beginner series that I did on kettlebells. Maybe you are on this channel for the first time and you're wondering, oh, what is this guy talking about? I think this kettlebell is interesting. Watch this video right here. It's a beginner series that can really help you. So go watch it right